Yeah, I don't really do like intros and stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
It's part of the LA culture, actually.
Yeah. No, my wife's like she actually is the one that got me onto Midday Squares.
If I was at my office, I would have brought you a bunch. Before you go to California, we'll get you a bunch.
Yeah, we use it's funny. She knows every photographer in the city, so we use Dom Lachance.
You use Dom Lachance? Oh my god, one of my favorite people.
He's he's amazing.
Talent.
Yeah. Like
He's a rock star.
I knew he was a talent. Like Carla first told me, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go do a photo shoot. It was she was pregnant still with our first kid. And she wanted to do a photo shoot, like a maternity photo shoot.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I found this like a really good photographer. Like, she lied about its price too for like a whole year after.
Of course.
I'm like, oh, whatever. And I go and like he's doing the shoot, and I'm like, whatever. And then I see the pictures, and I'm
Freak
like,
out.
you made me look like a model. You're good, bro.
Yeah.
And when she told me a year later the price, I'm like, yeah, it was worth it, obviously. And I went back
100%.
again, and I used him again for like my work stuff.
So he's internal to our Midday Squares. He does
I
every one
saw
of our
his
shoots.
stack of Midday Squares in his place. It's like
Because he has to keep them for the shoots and stuff. But I was just with him like 3 days ago. He took a whack shoot in our facility of us like manufacturing, but like really sexy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dom, you literally make me look like I'm a stunt. Like,
crazy.
I could be on Vogue, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, that's my job, babe. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, Dom, I never want him to leave Midday Squares. He was gonna do my wedding, but we got a wedding photographer.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because he wanted to party, and I was like, just come to party then.
Yeah.
You know?
Where are you doing your wedding?
Jardin Montreal.
Nice.
It's closing, and it's like it's near the Royal Mount there, that new place.
Yeah.
But 350 people or so.
Sweet.
Gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous actually. You know when you have moments in your life that you never process.
Yeah.
I haven't processed it. I'm like 6 days out, so it's weird.
I mean,
it hurts everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
Everything. Like, it's been a lot of pressure for me just knowing that.
It's gonna pass so fast. I mean, I'm not gonna give you the generic advice like, oh, just enjoy the day, but it's true. Like, it's gonna start, and it's gonna end so fast, but it's gonna be a really good time. So
it's a memory.
Yeah,
it's a memory, and I truly want to be there because during the process of planning, I wasn't there. Because I actually like subconsciously avoided it, which is weird. And anyways, I'm super excited. Like I'm this week is kind of giving me like trembles a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't get nervous about a lot of things. Like I do a lot of public speaking, I do a lot of like fun stuff. And I don't know, this is kind of like a weird, it's like a moment in like, not work life or like professional life, it's like life.
Yeah, life.
It's like a chapter in life. And I'm like, shit, I'm getting married. I never thought I'd get married. So
how old are you?
29, 30 in 2 months.
August?
So, August, yeah.
August
17th.
what? 23rd.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great month though.
Yeah,
August is one of the best birthday months because it's like it's kind of like the end of the summer almost, and then it's like everyone's in good spirits. They're either traveling or they're back from their travel, and they're like everyone's like down to be in the city with you, and it's still gorgeous out, right?
I've always from a kid like it was not there was no school and even now like, it's great. Like my wife's birthday is middle of April, which sucks in my business because it's like my peak time of the year.
Is that exams?
Yeah, man. It's like
you're done.
April and December.
You have so much work to do.
So we could never do anything for her birthday. So we always have to delay it. So I'm happy.
She gets the delayed treatment.
Yeah. But yeah, she's the one that put me onto you. Like she was having Midday Squares like when you used to sell those 2-packs. I think you can see.
Yeah.
Like,
the 2-packs. That was a big change up.
Yeah. She's so funny. We were at I think you had just come out with your cookie dough.
Yeah,
right.
It was hot as a pistol at the time,
bro.
Still is though.
Super good. First of all,
thank you.
And we had gone to Cali. When did it come out? The end of last year.
The end of December. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
in Canada.
So we went to Cali in first week of January, and she had to have it, and she ordered it from Montreal
to Cali
to our house in Cali.
Oh my god.
And she's waiting for it by the door. UPS says delivered. She goes outside, it's not there. Wasn't there. And she's freaking out. Like, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, okay.
It is what it is. Chocolate's gone.
I know it's good, but it's just chocolate, you know? She's freaking out. And we had a house on like one of the main boulevards there. And you could see out onto the street. And there's a UPS truck driving on the other side of the road, driving across, and she runs out, jumps over the railing, runs into the street.
You needed to get this and send it to us so we could have used it.
I was like, what is happening? She's not wearing shoes. She's running in the street saying, UPS. And the guy stops the truck in the middle of the road and sticks his head out. He's like, what the hell? And she's like, where's my package? You said it was delivered. And then he checks. He's like, shit. He sent it. He put it in front of the like same number, but one street back. So he went and got it. And he went and got it and brought it to us. And she was, happy.
That's a classic story.
It was so funny.
I love this.
like the neighbors came out of the house, then asked her if she was okay. They're like, "Are you like you're running in the street without shoes?"
They got scared.
Like, is everything okay? And she's like, "Yeah, like it's my chocolate."
Listen, it's Canadian goes to California and doesn't get their midday squares and then freaks out and in the end it was a Cinderella story though. You guys got it. And
and it turns out we probably could have just got it there.
Yeah, you could because we have some good accounts there. We have some. California is one of our biggest markets actually. So
I can see that.
Yeah, they love Californians love better for you stuff and trendy stuff. So for us, that was our first market. This store named Erewon. I don't know if you've ever been to it,
bro. Yeah. She was telling me yesterday because I was telling her that you're in Whole Foods because I saw you went to Austin,
Target.
Right? And she's like, they need to get into Erewon, whatever. I don't even know what that is.
Account.
That's so I'm gonna tell her that. That's cool.
When you go there, because you're gonna go to California, go see an Erewon. You're gonna see Midday Squares right in the refrigerated stand. There's so many other refrigerated great bars as well. But that was the #1 account, and when we first got it. We freaked out because that was our dream account because it was like, hey, this is the most trendy grocery store in the United States, right? Probably worldwide, actually, almost. It's like a cultural thing. And we got it, and I'll never forget, we made a video that day when we got the yes that we were getting in there, and it was like we were throwing tables at our office, and we sent it to their team, and their team freaked out, and then now we have a really good relationship with them. But I'll never forget, that will always go down in our history of Midday Squares history as the first person to take a chance at us in the United States.
Really?
Yeah, out of every retailer, they have 50,000+ stores.
Yeah.
We're in a total of 8,000 now in Canada, US, so probably about 3,000 to 4,000 in the US, and probably more 4,000 plus in the US. They were the first one, and they took it boldly. Like we weren't available anywhere, and we were barely available online. So they took that chance by just seeing us on social media.
Is that the very beginning?
Yeah, this was like 2 years ago, because we were focused on Canada. Our goal was city by city, build out Montreal. Similar to Facebook built out their company, so they built it by college. We took city by city. Montreal, let's win. Let's get everybody excited. Montreal, Laval, Blainville, Laurentians. Keep going further and further on the other side, Granby, all the way to Quebec City. Then we said once that was complete, let's go to Toronto. Our resources can now be put in Toronto. And what we would do uniquely in each city was smart. What we would do is we'd watch influencers, local, people that have influence in the city on social media, and we would see where they shop. And then we would put the product where they shop. So if it was the gym they went to, we put it there. If it was the fruit store, we put it in the fruit store. If
you just show up and put it there?
Well, we'd reach out to the account, or they would reach out to us and we'd open it. But we would monitor their lifestyle because a lot of the time the people that watch them end up going to the same joints.
Right.
And what that did was it made us look like we were this massive company, even though we were in like coffee shops, right? But they saw it, the Midday Square, everywhere in their refrigerator. So like, oh my God. And then when they finally saw it at their grocery store, they're like, I'm buying it here because that was their, I guess, economically the most. But that was a strategy. So we did Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary. And then we weren't even done Canada. We didn't nationally do it properly. And then the US came, and Erewon was the first account, reached out. We said, we didn't have a game plan. We're like, okay, screw it. We're doing this. And the next thing you know, we got this massive retailer in the US from Erewon, basically this company called Sprouts. So it's kind of like,
oh yeah, I know Sprouts.
Great retailer, great account, very good people. Like a Whole Foods, they have 382 stores. Imagine this: we were in 6 stores at Erewon, and having a hard time even dealing with that because I was shipping over the border. It was a whole disaster. We then said yes to Sprouts. We thought they'd maybe give us like 20 stores, not all their stores because we're a new brand.
Right.
They gave us a national launch, and we're like, holy shit, now we're in 23 states. How do you support that marketing-wise? Our strategy was originally go city by city.
Right.
Couldn't do that anymore.
So what'd you do?
We built more on social media. We actually used TikTok and Instagram and viral content to create the awareness, and then local influencers to push the retailers. So we would still find influencers in, like, let's say, Phoenix, Arizona. Where else was Sprouts? It was in California. It was Texas, and we'd actually build up some awareness there. But it took time, slowly. And then now we've gone a lot more national viral videos in the US that we're selling like hotcakes there because people know the brand. We're actually a bigger company in the US than we are in Canada.
I mean,
makes sense. Though,
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, you're 10 times the population there.
But we love Canada
Have you found it different to market to Americans?
Mm-hmm. So think about it. When we started Midday Squares, our game plan was we launched in our condo kitchen here in TMR, Montreal,
I saw some
right?
of the content,
me, my sister, my brother-in-law, and they're introverts. They're like very good operators. So unbelievable operators. They don't like to be out there. They really don't. It's not their vibe. They're quieter people. When I told them I'm joining the company as the third founder, I said, guys, we can't win in chocolate if we don't make noise.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean make noise? And I was like, well, we could be like every other brand and say, hey, we're vegan, gluten-free, soy-free, non-GMO, clean ingredients. tell you our product features. But to be honest with you, that doesn't really make a difference to you on social media. That makes a difference to you when you're in the store, right? Because you're choosing what you want to have. So I said to my partners, what if we learned from the entertainment world and we basically said, let's marry entertainments like Hollywood with CPG, which is consumer packaged goods. And what I noticed in like cosmetic world and like fashion world was brands that were successful, like Nike or like even Sephora with the thing, was creating a story. They were using social media to connect to you, connect to me, and tell that story. So for Nike, it was the underdog story, the athlete, the motivation, whatever, which was been told for the last 40 years for them, consistently, nonstop, pounding, and then we buy their products. Same thing with Sephora. You go to the store, I'd watch my fiance go in there and she would freak out for the brand. She would be like, I know this brand, I love it. And she'd be willing to pay $90 for it. Why? Because there's emotional connection.
Yeah.
But yet we go to the grocery store, there's 40,000 products, and yet 5 brands maybe on the total shelves actually connected to me. So I would actually like, oh, I love that company. Instead, we just buy them for commodity and function or price. So I said to my partners, what if we just tell a story that actually is relevant and relatable to people and not talk about the product, but talk about how we build the company to 100 plus million, maybe $1 billion one day. And we show people the good, the bad, the ugly. That way we're showing really high moments of milestones, which are like, I'm cheering this company on. And then really low moments of like, you know, this is really radically transparent, which creates that sense of where we could be friends. I know you. And what that did was it naturally created the ability when you went to the grocery store, the 40,000 products, you saw Midday Squares, but you didn't see it as a chocolate bar now. You saw it shine bright and be like, I like that company. I like those people. I know everything about them. I'm going to buy it and I'm a fan. So we took the thesis of build fans rather than customers, and that has applied both in both markets, Canada, US. But in Canada, people have been watching us since the beginning.
Right.
So the story was the hustle from zero to wherever we're going. Now the US is not zero to whatever. So now it's like, okay, this company's already established. How do we tell that story in this similar way where it's radical transparency, but it's also hype? So now we're doing it at a very larger scale, and it's like not so specific to Montreal or Toronto. It's national company right now. It's multinational.
Yeah.
So the storytelling is slightly different, but the drama, the chaos, the excitement is still the same. It's actually amplified.
Yeah. What's the I mean, I don't know if you can speak about this, but what's the beef with
Hershey's?
Yeah.
So first of all, okay. So there was beef with Hershey's, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the legacy they built. So I don't eat their products anymore, but just because I don't want the sugars and stuff like that. But Milton Hershey built and Reese, whatever the guy's name from Reese was, built a very successful brand that connected to people. Now, I think they've got lost along the way now into the corporate bureaucracy and product lack of innovation, in my opinion. But I'm still a fan of what they've impactfully done, right? So in 2000, I think it was last year, we were in talks with them with their M&A team, and we don't want to sell the company right now. We're building this for a longer game. What I mean by that is, why can't a new company build what the old companies built in terms of infrastructure and impact, so size? You haven't seen a new food company that has come and done over 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 million dollars. They usually get acquired and then it goes under the umbrella of the larger corp, which is fine. You make a lot of money. The founders do a ton of the shareholders and the founders make a ton of money. But what happens when you say no to the sale? What happens if you build past it? Is it possible? Is the big question. Is it actually possible? That's what's driving the three of us. And when they came to the acquisition talks, we film everything at Midday Squares. The good, the bad, the ugly. Cameras are always rolling, usually 24/7. So no matter what's happening, it's always being documented, right? Because we want to use it for a documentary one day.
Yeah.
So talks went well. We were laughing. They loved our product. They wanted to actually acquire Midday Squares, and we just weren't interested. So what we did is we politely, said, this is not the time, whatever. 2 weeks, I think it was 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks later, we got a cease and assist letter from them, from their legal team, saying you can no longer use the color orange on your packaging for your peanut butter, which is our number one product at the time, right? And they didn't say a word about that in the M&A talks. They loved that flavor. So what we did is, because we documented everything, we had two options. We go to court, we fight it, and it would be an absolute disaster because it would cost us millions of dollars. We would likely have a chance of winning.
Yeah.
And it would actually set a very good precedent, but you think that Hershey's isn't going to stop that precedent as much as they can, because that protecting their orange is everything. First of all, it wasn't the same orange. So then what we did is with that option, or we just change the package and move on and not say a word, which most companies tend to do. I said to my partners, why don't we do a third option? We can't just go down and say we change the package and move on from this and quiet down. We are storytellers. We are creatives. We are people that are bold. And if we truly believe in ourselves, let's fucking go full way. And what that meant was, we were going to go tell the story of what happened and not shy away from it. Say that, look at the irony of what happened. Talks M&A didn't go so well. Next thing you know, legal arm comes after you.
Yeah.
So big muscles, big capital, resources, all that stuff. And we took it even one step further. So that video went out. People were going crazy. Americans are actually loving it. They're like, David versus Goliath, chocolate gone crazy. This is amazing. What a bold company this is to show what happens, why they changed the package. And then we went one step even further and we basically said, we're going to make a music video because why not? We'll spend the $70,000 that, we weren't going to spend on other marketing campaigns. We put it towards this and we basically made a diss track saying, we're Midday Squares. We don't want to be you, Hershey's. And it's embarrassing that you're even telling us that we even wanted to copy you, that you believe that we did. So we made that and then that went viral. Excuse me, hold on. Sorry. Yeah. So that went viral. And that got picked up by all the media in the US. And everyone started to figure out who is Midday Squares, who's this company that's kind of like doing this funky thing with Hershey's. And then I'll never forget, after that video came out, no word from Hershey's, but I sat on a panel and the guy next to me on the panel was actually the head of M&A. And he looks at me and he says, hey, Jake, he's like, honestly, big fan of what you did. It was cool. And I said, well, why didn't you answer back with the music video? And he's like, never in a million years would you see us do that. So it just goes to show that the new consumer or the consumer of today wants something more relevant. They don't care so much about just sell. They want stories. They want to be connected to. And what this taught us was you don't have to go the typical way and just, shut off. You could use difficult adversity moments as an opportunity to even make you bigger and make you, but you've got to be willing to know and accept that it could go completely the wrong way. And we were willing to do that. We said at that point we had nothing to lose other than the company, obviously, but we were willing to die on the hill. So, till this day, that moment in history is a key moment for us in terms of our U.S. growth because people start to know who we are. We start to make noise. People are like, who is this Canadian brand that has this bold energy? So now if anyone comes at us, we're going to use storytelling to fight back. Not legal. We don't need to be legal. Let's have a good time with it, And I'm still a fan, like I said, of Hershey's. And I hope they're a fan of Midday Squares.
I mean, shit. Yeah, you kind of have to be. I definitely think like the new generation of consumers is like you said. Like I think they care less about the names that were there before, and they care about what's cool now. You're definitely doing social media right. And I was late. Everyone I've spoken to. I think I was speaking to Anthony from Man-Made.
Oh, love him, guy.
On Friday. So Anthony's a former student of mine before he started the company.
He's a good storyteller too.
Love that guy. And he was telling me how you guys had, you know him well, I guess, and that you inspired him with that. And what you just said about you build fans and not customers. I think that inspires a lot of people. And I think companies that are doing that, they're kind of doing that in their own way too. They're telling their whole story on social media. And I feel like the companies that are doing that
they have a chance.
Yeah.
Forget about, because it's hard to make money. You know it. It's hard to build a business. Sorry. So you can make money. You can figure out how to make money.
Yeah.
It's hard to build a relevant business that will be scaled or impactful. And I think that the future of marketing, and I say this with respect to everything to do with marketing, is not going to be the performance of this or that, paying to push or selling down people's throats. It's going to be who's the best storyteller and who's the most authentic. And something about Anthony and the boys there at Man-Made, they're authentically themselves and people like it, and their product's good, but they tell a great story. Midday Squares, same thing. We are radically authentic. Now, it will not work if you tell a story and you are not being authentic because people will see right through it.
Yeah.
And they will feel uncomfortable to watch and not want to be part of it. So you need to be both a great storyteller but also be yourself. And I think a lot of brands are fearful to be themselves because they worry about the judgment, they worry about the repercussions, the consequences of being themselves. And that's when they start to veer off and copy brands, and then it's inauthentic.
Yeah, it's fake.
So it's like it shouldn't be so hard to be yourself. That's what I'm trying to tell people. It's like it's harder to lie every day than to tell the truth, right? Yeah. So it's like for me, what I noticed early on at this business was the radical transparency was one of the reasons why we were building those fans, because they're like, yeah, we can get great editors, you can get great creators to come in and create very good stories. But if there's no authenticity to it, then what's the relatability factor? What's the trust factor that's building? When someone makes a purchase, they got to trust you. In previous to social media, so let's say 15 years, 20 years ago, it was easy to market. You know why? All you have to do is have capital. You
Yeah.
would basically, let's say we were selling this hat. All I would tell you is it's a black hat with a Midday Squares logo. It's available at Target or Walmart. Go buy it. I'd put it on billboards, put it on TV ads. I'd put it everywhere. You as the consumer were actually forced to watch and listen to me and see my hat. And then you'd see at the store, be like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this. I saw it on the ad. Today, the consumer now chooses where they put their attention. It's no longer on, they care about the billboards and the TV ads. They have something called social media where they choose what they want to see. They could opt out of seeing you. They don't need they could block you if they want.
Yeah.
So that makes the playing field for advertising actually even. So companies like, let's say Hershey's, who have hundreds of millions of dollars of budget for marketing every year to just spend on social media, and Midday Squares, who has a 20th of that, we're actually on the same playing field now. It's who's going to tell the best story authentically to the customer, which will win the customer. So if we're both competing, they could spend hundreds of millions of dollars, but if I get to your heart, I win.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be the future of marketing. Who's the best at doing that? And, obviously, let's go back to businesses. You still need a great product. So that's the number one thing is product market fit. But after that, storytelling is the future of marketing. It's no longer old school marketing of just put it everywhere and make everyone see your product.
How are these big companies going to do that? Like, I'm trying to think, like, how can a company like Nike can kind of do it because they never stopped doing it. Yeah. But a company that hasn't been doing it, how are they going to all of a sudden say, like, you can relate to us? It's going to be hard,
tough.
right? Yeah.
It might be an ugly transition, but I think where they need to stop it is allow people to be creative. Because what happens in these corporate structures is they've built very great companies, don't get me wrong. But now with the way that the consumer is and what they want to connect with brands, is for these companies to connect, they got to be a little bit more edgy or a little bit out of the box, right? So they can't just be in the square box. They're used to being in the square box because no one takes risks within bureaucracy because they're all trying to compete with each other to climb the ladder. So if they're all trying to compete, they're not going to take an excessive movement that could maybe make them fail, right? They got to open the failure up. You got to give the freedom to failure and freedom of no judgment. Once they have that, companies can start to figure out their ways. But you're right. A story like Nike's, Phil Knight told that story since day one.
Yeah.
Lululemon told a great story too, and continued to have a very successful brand. You look at some other cosmetic brands or some other fashion brands. They've done a great job telling their story, but then everybody else has kind of slacked on the story, veered away from their own story, and focused more on features of their product and the benefits of their product, which won't work in the future.
That's interesting. Well, let's talk about your product a bit. Again, my wife's a fan. Been since I think day one or very close to that.
We love her.
Yeah. So she told me that it was initially started. Your sister was making these squares.
Yep.
And then
for my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, my sister and my brother-in-law, they're also before this they were entrepreneurs as well as I was as well too. But my sister was making this as a healthier version of a chocolate snack for his afternoon.
For him.
For him, because he was eating like all the high sugar chocolates and he was getting tired. So she's like, I can make you something clean. She was plant-based at the time. So she's like, I could play with some plant-based ingredients. She made him this hobby snack. He brought it to his office. Everyone loved it. He would have it every day. This is like 2.5 years before the company even started.
Yeah.
And then she ended up closing her fashion company at the time. He sold out of his software business and they wanted to work together on something. And they just didn't know what it was, but food was something they both loved, right? And she was still making these things in front of every day. So think about it. The product was right in front of their face.
Yeah.
And they tried to explore morning oats as one of the businesses, another type of business. Finally, my brother-in-law got out of the shower one day and he read a report that was sent to him. And I'll never forget the shower was a key moment because he always just pondering in the shower and he was pondering about like what the business is and he was really thinking. He's like, fuck, we might not have a business because there's nothing there, right? And then the report came in and it showed that dark chocolate, so real chocolate, was growing at like a very high percentage year over year, and that vegan proteins, plant proteins also was on a tear. And in his head, it clicked. He's like, oh my God, Leslie, my sister, was making a baby of a dark chocolate bar indulgence meets a protein plant-based function bar, right? So it became this functional chocolate bar. And that was when they decided to commercialize that product. Then they came to me 7 months later after the product was commercialized and like, hey, we need to launch this company. Do you want to be our third partner? We don't know how to market it. Basically, we don't know how to make noise with this. And I was like, well, I'm allergic to nuts and peanuts and I'm allergic to all these products, but like, I'm happy to join, but we need to be fucking bold. And that's when I brought that idea of we're going to show a documentary basically on social media every day. And they were like really opposed to it at first. And then next thing you know, we launched in the condo and we were making them in the condo kitchen, 80 bars per day. Now we're in a fully automated facility that we had to build at a necessity in Lachine that could do about 90,000 bars a day.
Is this your first facility after the condo?
No, we went to somewhere in Saint Laurent, like Ville Saint Laurent. It was a small kitchen. Basically, what happened, why we had to go there, and is because in the condo kitchen we would hire people to come, and the building was getting mad and it was getting crowded. Now imagine a small condo like the size of this room. You're mixing the chocolate smell. It's a disaster. It's probably not even clean. Like you know, like, and to be honest, like we cleaned a lot, but Health Canada approved, you know, in quotations at the time. So we'd pack bars in their bedroom and then hand deliver them at night. We needed to get out of there. The claustrophobia was killing us. We were going to kill each other. So we found a small kitchen that had enough warehouse room so that we could hire a bunch of folks to help hand make the bars, because it was all handmade. So we went from doing 80 bars a day maximum to being able to do like 2,000 a day. Then we realized if we actually want to scale this company, we actually have the runway, we actually had some potential because the sales were going up. We need to build a facility or go to a co-manufacturer. A co-man basically does your manufacturing for you.
Yeah.
That's how most food companies do it, 90%. But all the bars are the same from the co-mans. They can't change it because the machinery is specific, right?
Right.
So each one told us we can't make it, but we'll change it. And my sister's like, no. So we ended up designing this plant, this custom-made line that was all on theory. There was no test driving these machines. It was all theory-based building on, but engineers were building it up. And then we moved into our current facility in January of 2020. And then we couldn't get engineers into the facility because of COVID from Europe. So we couldn't even use the machines. So we were living in this facility until they let the European engineers come in. Finally, now we're almost fully automated. We still have some work to do, but we're now up to, if we really want to push it in 3 shifts in 24 hours, you can get up to 90,000 bars per day.
Wow.
We're really doing about 45 to 50,000 every day.
You have the capacity to go up to 90 if you really had to.
That would be busting the seams a little bit. Like quality would hit a little bit of it.
Right. So
we're not doing that. We're trying to figure out how we could sustainably get to that naturally, properly with, you know, a little more equipment on certain things, you know, different type of things.
Do you, I mean, you said that the US now has become a bigger market for you than Canada. Like, at what point do you open up a factory there? Facility. So believe it or not,
Quebec's been great to us in terms of debt financing. So they've debt financed our facility, and it means we have a loan from the taxpayers' dollars, actually.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So they want us to obviously work out, but we have to stay here, right? So we'll always have HQ here, but we might build a mega plant in the US from a logistics standpoint. So like Midwest of the United States would be like a Wisconsin or something like that. That's where a lot of actually Canadian food manufacturers go. But Montreal, right now, we're keeping everything here. We're staying here as of right now, and we're looking to maybe build a second line within the current facility that would bring our capacity up from 70 million output per year to maybe 140, 130 in Montreal, and then look at what's next after that. But these plants take a year and a half to build.
Yeah.
So it's not like you could just do it. You have to make the decision now, and the next coming months, we're going to have to make this decision.
Because I mean, my wife can make a chocolate bar. I could probably make a chocolate bar in my kitchen. But if you ask me, okay, what machinery do you need to create a production line? I would say, how the fuck would I know? Like, how did you guys sort that out?
So my sister was the genius on that one. She went and she traveled the world. She went to meet with every engineer. She basically understood the process and then had to get engineers to build that process over it. Now, anyone could build a chocolate bar. Anyone can make a chocolate. You could probably make the exact same one almost, very close to it if you want at home. But if I told you to make 45,000, 50,000 a day, you probably not even figure out how to do it. No, it's very hard because the machines have to make the same quality almost at scale, and the costs have to make sense, right? You can't just make it for $10 a bar. So that was the complex part, was making it a free flow line where it goes from zero to a bar. And I'm proud to say that she did that, and it's not perfect.
Whatever.
The second line that we build will be a lot more perfect. Never perfect, but a lot more perfect because we learn from mistakes, and that's okay. But we got this place running, and we got this place to be able to pump out a bunch of bars, which is kind of cool.
There was a story. I was when I first reached out to you, it was after I had never seen any of your content. Okay. And I fell on your, I think it was the Midday Squares page, and then I binged for
rabbit hole.
Man, at least an hour and a half. I saw the music video, I saw all this stuff, and then I saw this one video where you guys were talking. It was really high stress. I was stressed for you. I was like, you had ordered this machine, but you didn't have the money for it. What happened there?
So no, a lot of the time, and what happens is, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure is you got to take some risks. You need to make decisions that the average would not make, right? Or a risk adverse person would not make. So one time we had to put in a PO for a machine that actually we didn't have the money. So we were waiting on the debt to come through, and we actually wrote blank checks, hoping that the machine would get the machine debt would get approved before the blank check. Otherwise, it would go bankrupt.
Right.
So we did that as entrepreneurs. We delayed, and said the checks are in the mail. Sent them blank checks. Played every ball game possible you could play to get. And then finally, I was actually at a hockey game. This is so funny. We were number like 70 in line for like for getting that debt we needed to purchase the machine, because you got to put a down payment down, otherwise it won't make the machine. It takes time to make these machines, so it's all timing, right? Everything's timing. And I was at a hockey game and I was sitting front row behind the penalty box, and I'll never forget, there was this guy sitting next to me. No idea who he was, okay? But he was like in a suit, whatever. It looked serious. People kept coming to say hi to him. It was really annoying. Imagine you're in this, people walking by shaking his hand, thank you, Monsieur, ça va, like all this stuff. So I didn't even give him any attention. I gave him no attention. I didn't look that way. I basically would like look down the game like this, because I didn't want to even give him attention, because he must have been like famous or something, right? So he just bothered me. It was like, I spent $300 to be there. Like, I want peace, you know? And I always bring bars with me in that seat, expired bars, because I end up leaning on that seat that this person was sitting in is the seat I have to lean over to go in the penalty box to put the bars on the glass, so that there's a camera, a GoPro's the player, and you see the bars on top of the guy.
Oh, is that why you were sitting there?
Yes.
Is that like something you did?
Yeah, always. It's a marketing
genius.
gig. It's a marketing gig. Yeah. And it always goes on the big screen, and then on TSN and RDS and all the national television. It's free marketing. It's a $300 ticket for marketing. Yeah. So I brought the bars, whatever, and there was no penalty. Finally, in the end of the second period, penalty comes. So now I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to ask this guy if I could put I'm just going to lean on him, and that's it. So I leaned on him, I went on his leg, I put it on, and then it went on the camera. Everyone's clapping, local brand, celebrity, whatever. And he looks and he's laughing hysterically, and he's like, is this your company? And I was like, oh, he's actually decently nice. So I started telling him the story, and I'm like, oh, are you famous? Like, people come out, he's like, I'm not famous. I'm in politics though. So I was like, oh, what do you do? And he's like, excuse my ignorance. He's like, I said, excuse my ignorance to you. He's like, I'm the Premier of Quebec. It was Francois Legault. So I was like, I have a bone to pick with you. And he's like, tell me the bone. And I was like, we were waiting on an investment, and we were number 71. And I said, we had to do this whole blank check thing. I told him the whole thing. He started laughing. And he's like, I try the bar. And I'm like, actually, you can't, because they're expired. Anyways, we talked the whole time, and he actually listened. And this is before a lot of his stuff, the shtick that he does now. But long story short, I can't guarantee that he did anything, but 36 hours later, the money was transferred into the bank account.
That's funny.
So he was actually a really big advocate for us being in Quebec and building a manufacturing company here, a young manufacturer. He was very impressed. And they said to us, do you know somebody here? And I said, oh, there's no fucking way that it was because of a hockey game. But you never know. Machine went through. We ended up putting the machine down, and it came in, and we ended up getting it. But another story with machine is that we once had to get a machine, and it broke, and we had to buy a machine, and our fans actually got us the machine because the power of social media. We reached out. We had no way to grind our coconut sugar, and there was no one able to get it, and we would have to been delayed on so many orders. And we reached out on social Instagram. We put out, hey, can somebody help us? Out of like pure curiosity. Somebody's father, one of our fans' fathers, is a machine maker, had the exact machine we needed. Ended up transporting within 24 hours, got it to us, said, use it till you're done with it, then bring it back after. And that's the power of fans, is someone was willing to put their arm out for us. Yeah. And we got our machine, and it worked. And I think it's just like, they all go back to like doing things outside the box and being different and being bold, right? And taking risk.
Wow. That second story is moving. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you take the approach you did, right? You were on the Forbes recently, right?
Yeah, this year. Last 2023.
30 under 30.
Yeah.
What were you doing before Midday Squares?
Two things. So I was throwing parties on college campuses, and I was actually, so we were in the same business, same type of class.
Yeah, I guess.
But I was trying to sell them clothing. So I was doing it actually in Ontario up to BC, and trying to sell them clothing like sweatshirts like this with a logo, but I used the party as the story. So I'd build this hype party, get the community, get all the students excited, and then I wanted them to wear the sweatshirt like as if it was their college sweatshirt. Okay. Like, when people wear their college name on it and they're proud of it. So I actually had a great business, but the problem was the operations was horrible. Right. I knew how to build a hype brand, but I couldn't build the back side of the business. I couldn't do the accounting, the legal, the manufacturing of the sweatshirts. So I ended up going bankrupt. But I was really good with storytelling. I was able to get celebrities on it. I was able all this stuff, and that's what my partners saw previous to Midday Squares. Like, we need that in our business with an operation arm, that we're the operators.
Right. So okay, so you did that before. What's personally now? Like, how has it been like transitioning from somewhat unknown, I guess, maybe not if
No,
you're throwing parties to like you're on Forbes now?
Big difference. So network, ability to meet people. It sounds weird, and what was good about Forbes was Forbes allowed me to lead the entire food and beverage category for those. So they put me in the magazine actually. Like, so it was a big thing. So in terms of like, I got the credibility, whether I deserved it or not. I think I've worked hard, but they opened up a huge space for me to network and get a bunch of stuff. Then Montreal as a city, the media decided to get behind it even more. And they're like, oh, we have a Montrealer that's on the magazine. Let's talk about it. So that helped me grow also. So I started getting like actually some more trolls actually, and more love as well. So now it's like I got to just be a little bit more careful in my life because I'm still who I am. I'm the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm the same person I was as a party animal, fun. I'm myself unapologetically. But I noticed there's a little bit more troll action now, and people message things. They'll write things on our business comments. They'll do all these things. But to me, it's like that's who I want to be, actually. Yeah. That's the person I'm trying to develop into, is someone that can be more public facing. And the reason why I be public facing is because you can make impact. I could actually make impact not just on one-on-one people, but I could actually do it on a big level. And I mean impact inspire. I want people to be themselves. So if I could keep building my audience and build my, credibility in quotations, I will be able to show people that I did it by being me. Why can't you do it by being you? Why can't you start a plane company, an aviation company? Yeah. Who's telling you can't do that, right? So I want to be an example of a case of me doing that, but I need to keep getting on these pedestals because the pedestals allow me to use them to even grow more. And so yeah, I'm more public facing, which definitely is a thing. And yeah, like on LinkedIn, like I get a lot of views. Like per post, I can get anywhere from like 20 to 200,000 organic views per post, which is a lot of people. Yeah. Which means that anything I do wrong gets amplified. Anything I do right gets amplified.
And you said your partners are a little bit more...
They're quiet. My sister's now getting, which is strange because she's actually becoming very, very, very excited and to be on camera. She actually likes to be now more of the facial part of the business, which is interesting because she was the opposite before that. So I think that she sees the value of it. My brother-in-law, he likes it too, but way less. What's unique about them compared to me is they like the social, the digital. I like the physical. I like to go speak at mass conferences, get with the people, the crowd, build the fans physically, like in person, travel the world for that. They actually like to stay a little bit further from the scene. It's not their vibe. They want to be out there operating and running a business, and then the digital is being done while they're doing the operations. But being out there with fans and being there all the time, it's a lot of energy you have to give. You have to give people energy. Yeah. So that's my job. Theirs isn't. That's not their job, right? So it's interesting to see the difference. But they've gotten a lot more comfortable on camera, almost more than me, to be honest with you.
Wow. Yeah, I've noticed your sister posting more.
Way more, yeah. It's like she got this new spirit of like wanting to. And it's good for the brand because it relates to a lot of people. But for me, like I'm doing personal brand and Midday Squares brand. Like for me, like I don't operate the business. So my job every day is to go make friends with people and then bring them to the network of the brand. So if it's investors, retailers, meet journalists, legal people, new teammates, my job is to go find you, make friends with you, and then when the time is right, introduce you to our brand. And that helps our teams do all their work because they don't have to go fish for people. They don't have to ask anything. They have them in my Rolodex, right? So that means I have to travel, I have to be out there, I have to be on TV, I have to be on radio, I have to be on social media. I have to actually build a brand because people got to answer me. If I got to reach out to them on LinkedIn, I want them to answer my message, right? And a lot of people don't answer messages. So that's my day-to-day job, which takes a lot. So I'm actually having to build also a personal side where I have a lot of personal, not just with Midday Squares. And I feel like my future isn't going to be always with Midday Squares. Yes, I own a third of the business, but my goal eventually is to be front-facing and make impact the way I want to make impact. My partners actually want to operate this business for, like, they love the operations. So what's interesting is we're seeing how that's going to, fold out in the next 10 years, let's call it. Yeah. Because I believe I want to go on TV. I want to be on the media. I want to do it, but I want to be the one that's bold and authentic and not following that structured story that everybody in that world does. If I have my own capital and I have no reliance on anybody, then I could do it, right? And that's how you see the most successful political leaders is the ones that don't rely on people. Yeah. They don't rely on lobbyists. They don't rely on, these super funds. Yeah. If you could have it yourself, you could run your own campaign, let's call it, in whatever you're doing. And not be like, talking to somebody about it. You're doing what you feel is right.
think I love that about, well, something like that about Elon Musk. How
Yes.
he can say whatever he wants. It doesn't matter if it pisses you off. It doesn't matter if the shareholder. And I think he recently said, like, if I say what I want and I happen to lose a bit of money, so be it. You know, I don't need. He's the richest guy in the world. He doesn't need. You know,
he's the demonstration of what I'm trying to do in terms of not electric cars and all that jazz. He's already doing great stuff there, but he is showing to people, and he's been a big inspiration for me, that you could be yourself.
Yeah.
And no matter what happens, if you remain true to yourself, it will come out in the win in the end. You might deal with a lot of pressure and heat, which he does deal with, but he's a marketing engine.
Yeah.
This guy's a marketing engine. They don't need to pay for marketing because he gets the views. But he's true to himself. And whether you like him or not, you respect him because he's truthfully authentic. You might not like what he's talking about, but you could appreciate, I hope you can appreciate that he's being himself. And that is one of the most successful things you could have in life, is to be yourself every day and not be somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that even those that fall on the opposite side of the line from him, it's hard to not like. It's hard to hate him. It's not like Trump, right? Okay,
it's hard not to respect him.
Yeah, for sure.
But Trump too is another character that is truly himself.
Yeah,
and he's obviously a little more aggressive in the way he has very extreme policies on stuff. But if you look at his storytelling, he beats his own drum.
Yeah,
and again, you're not going to be liked by everybody. So same thing with Elon and Trump. They have different fans, but Trump's hated by a bunch of people and he's loved by another bunch of people. He's built his army in one way, and Elon has his own army.
Yeah.
And then there's some other prolific figures that have done that. But if you look at all those figures, they've succeeded in what they wanted to do. Now, not everyone's willing to take not everyone's willing to deal with the pressure and the hardships that are going to come with all these prolific figures on doing what you got to do. I haven't seen one massive success story that hasn't taken heat, really. And if you try to please everybody, you're pleasing nobody, and you're lying to yourself. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Is like, this is my problem with the world. Is you see more and more people just putting on an act, but then it's like, how long can you do it for? Until you burn out, you break down because you're not being yourself every day. And I was in that journey. I was comparing myself to everybody. I want to be everybody else, and then finally, I burnt out, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Why
am I being that person? I'm proud of who I am. I don't need to show to everybody that I don't need to show off. Like, even the Forbes thing, at first it was in my head, it was like, am I doing this because I want it? Am I proud of it for myself? Or am I proud of it because I could show it to people? And I was in that weird zone of showing people, and I was like, that's not who I am. And I was disturbed with who I was. And then I burnt out, and that was it. I had to see therapy for a month and a half straight every day. I had to go through those moments and understand who I was, what my purpose is, what am I doing here? Because you get caught up in a lot of different things, and being self-aware is extremely important. And again, I'm still far from being who I want to be. Yeah. But I'm on track to being there. Every day I take a step forward, a little step, just a little one.
I prepared this question for you. You kind of, I feel like in everything we've said, you've answered it, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. And it was, after speaking to several people, Anthony in particular, who they've said that you and your partners have inspired them. My question was that ever part of the plan originally to inspire people? And if it wasn't, is it now, what I think you said, is it now part of the plan?
That's a really good question. Never been asked that. And I go on a lot of cool podcasts and great conversations, panels. This is a good one. Usually they say to me, what was the goal at the beginning? But I think what's interesting with this question is, you're right. We started this company not with that intention of inspiring. The intention actually was build the next Hershey's in terms of size. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even believe in it at the first. I was like, there's no way we're going to sell that much chocolate. It's almost impossible. Like, I saw the journey ahead. I was like, this is crazy. But then as time went on, the money factor started to decrease in terms of the want for it. And it became more like, holy shit, look at the fans that we're building. Look what we're doing. Like, some of the messages we get, if I read you some of them, you're right, we are inspiring that next group of entrepreneurs or the current group or the boomers to be a little bit more bold, be okay with being a little bit more bold. And if we do that, if the world just gets a little bit more bold every day and a little bit more themselves, there's going to be more progress. There's going to be more greatness. There's going to be people actually loving who they are. And it sounds cheesy, but like, you are on this planet for a short time. It's a vacation. Make it fun. Like, you trying to be somebody else is not a vacation. That is hard work, and that is thinking about everything, stress, anxiety, this, that. So now it's become more of, okay, let's build the Hershey's, the size of Hershey's, but let's do it by showing it that we are truly ourselves, and let's let that next generation feel like they could do it, because those people that can do it and will do it will succeed. And I don't mean they're going to succeed necessarily in business. They'll succeed in whatever they do because they'll learn a lot. When you are yourself, you put yourself in weird zones. Like you get into uncomfortable zones, which make you question a lot of things. That makes you a greater person. That's personal development. So that's something like you said, Anthony and them, they're inspired by us, but that's because we're truly ourselves. At first, that wasn't the goal, and now it's become the mission of the company. And we try to live by it every day, including inspiring our team, inspiring young people, very old people, because they see that we're three bold people that are trying to take on an industry that has not been disrupted for 70 years.
What's the do you guys have this like golden number? Like if we get to this sales, then we are Hershey's.
No, so there's no golden number. There's a number that we have that will just be like something that we used to say at the beginning was the road to 100 million. And the reason why we say the 100 million in revenue is because at that moment we want to take the marketing to a completely different level, potentially a docuseries on like Netflix or Prime, and show you everything, like, right? So we're that's just like going to be a milestone on when we could take that pivot, or take the company public. Like there's that level we're able to do a lot of different things. So that's where we're like our head is focused, like literally blinders on till then. Get to the 100 million in the next 3 years, and that's all. And then we look at what's the next journey of the company.
Are you selling outside of North America?
No, we will eventually. After the 100 million, we will.
That gets complicated.
Very complicated manufacturing. You deal with cultures.
You need to manufacture over there, I guess, because it's food, right? Like
you partner with the manufacturer. Yeah, you partner with you help build the manufacturing. But I think the key is you have to understand the culture.
Right.
It's different markets. People are different, and it's hard. But we will get there because globally, chocolate is a $142 billion snacking set. It's huge.
142 billion?
Yeah, yearly.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah,
but you're right. Culturally, I guess it's different over there than here.
Every market. Europe, you go to Asia, you go to Middle East, you go to Israel, you go anywhere. It's all different, but the consumers know what chocolate is. So it's not so much hard on the education. It's more understanding how they shop.
Right.
What's the situation? How's the marketing going to look? All that jazz.
Yeah, that's cool. I have a lot of students. I told some that I was going to meet with you. It's funny. Some of them were like, "Oh, I'm doing my project on that."
Yeah, some of them, especially at Concordia, do the projects on us.
I think they like doing it like local companies.
It's
or whatever.
good that it's free marketing.
So one of them was one of them was asking. So, anyways, when I meet with people, I tell my students I have like about 1,000 students a year.
Wow.
But like 100 that I regularly speak to, and I say, "Oh, like I'm speaking to this person. Like, do you have any questions you want me to get through?" So I collected a few from students. One student was asking, they have this business idea, but they're in school, right? And they're delaying starting their business because they're in school. And it sounded like when they were telling me this, like they were kind of looking for inspiration, but outside of the typical, like they're in school because it's the thing to do, because their parents want them, like
I did.
Like half the students that I speak to are in school because their parents want them to get the degree and then go do whatever you want after that. Yeah. And so what do you say to that student? Like, do you start the business? Do you put it off? What advice would you give to that student?
So first of all, I hear you. If this person's listening, I hear you, and I've been there. I studied to be an actuary. I failed. I did it because I wanted my parents proud, because I wasn't an academic, and I wanted to show that I could be an academic. And I suffered internally for that. I had depression from that. Again, you're not being yourself, right?
Yeah.
And when I finally let go of that, they supported me to do that, to let go of it. But I felt liberated. I felt freedom. And I was in school when I had my first business, which was a fitness business, but I didn't give it my all. I did very well in the first year, but I didn't give my all. It could have been a very, very, very successful business.
Because you were in school?
Yeah, I did it in the summertime, then I had to go back to school after that, and I was
Right.
I lost focus, lost passion. My love went away for it. So I'm of the schooling of like, hey, finish school if that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then go start whatever you want to start. But building a business, most cases of successful business takes a lot of energy and sacrifice and time and effort and loneliness. And I say loneliness because it's a lonely road, but also exhilarating moments that you'll never experience before. So I would say you need to go all in. And if you can't, don't do it, because you might discourage yourself. Or if you have a good win and then you're like stressed about this, you have stress about school and you don't know what to do, but you're on this momentum train and then you're questioning everything. So I would say simply finish your degree, park your idea, and go back to it when it comes back. No, I don't believe in the thing, oh, someone's going to steal your idea. I don't believe in that. I think that if you could do it, great. If you are the best version of doing it, then you're going to win. If you treat your customers the best out of everybody else, you'll get there. It's just a long game, and it's not the short game. And everyone wants everything like snap a finger, 10 minutes, 10 months. No, legacies take a long time to build.
Yeah, I think a lot of us forgot about that recently. You know,
we're rushed. Everyone's in a rush.
I think crypto changed. Everyone thinks they can just hit the jackpot overnight in business and finance and whatever. So I think what you're saying is absolutely right. Fitness business. Are you? I often will ask this. So in the last year, I developed this interest in health. Okay, because up until like I was 32, like health, you could
nothing mattered to you.
Zero. Like I was like 60 pounds heavier. Like it was. Wow. I didn't give a shit. But anyway, so now and now I got into it and I started, realizing how much it matters. So I wanted to know, like, what's your do you how do you eat? Like, do you have a workout routine? Like, what do you?
Every morning I take a cold bath at 5 a.m. For wellness. In my house, I take a regular bath. You don't need to have the plunges.
Cold plunges,
It's cold enough. Do that. Then I read for about half an hour to get my mind stimulated.
What do you read?
Different books. Right now, it's all about. It's funny you say this. It's all about injuries because I hurt my back and I was just like I needed to figure out what was going on. And I've done everything MRIs. I did the whole 9 yards and I can't figure it out. So I'm trying to figure it out myself now, and I'm educating myself tremendously on the anatomy of the body, the biology, the physiology, like the muscle, the skill, the bone structures, like everything. So I'm reading about that stuff now, which is a bit hypervigilant and too obsessive a little bit, because then I'm focused only on my injury, like feeling the pains and stuff. But then I usually work out. I used to work out in the mornings. Now I work out at like 6, 7 p.m. for like half an hour. Quick weights, nothing crazy, just to get the movement in. And I try to not be as sedentary as possible, because health, as I'm turning 30, I'm realizing the body starts to slowly give out a little bit, not to depress anybody, but you got to take care of yourself, right? Yeah. And then health-wise, when I'm stressed, I eat like shit. When I'm not, I'm very clean. I realize nutrition's everything. It really gives you energy. It can control your brain function. There's so much factors that are relevant with eating, but sometimes we get caught into the the habits of eating nasty stuff because all this quick stuff, and unfortunately the marketing of the world is to bad foods actually. So yeah, I would say that I'm a healthier person and hyper vigilant on it.
Your product is vegan.
Yeah.
Are you guys?
No, I'm not vegan. No.
Your sister was?
She was plant. She was, I think, 90% plant based. We just like the protein source.
Yeah.
It's way for us to digest. It's easier.
Yeah.
But they taste worse plant based stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely think I think you're right. Like what turned me on to the whole health business, and I probably would have never tried your product. It's funny, and I'll say this openly now, when I didn't give a shit, my wife would eat these. She's like, oh, these are like healthier, like sweets. Like we like
didn't want it.
Yeah, and I'm like, plant-based, fuck that. Like,
yeah, but that's what happens.
And I didn't even try it. If I would have tried it, I would be like, okay, this shit's pretty good. And I was eating all this shit, like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I think it was, we had our kid, and then, I started cooking for him, like the healthiest meals you can imagine, but I was still eating like shit. And then one day, I was just talking to Carla. I'm like, oh, we cook for him every day. Like, what if we ate the same stuff? Like, what if we started paying attention to what we were eating? And she was always very good. Like, her sisters are all figure skaters and all that. So, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's start eating a bit clean. And we go to the grocery store and we wanted to buy mayo. So I'm like, oh, let's get the healthy mayo, like the olive oil mayo, So we grab it, and for fun, I'm like, let me look at the back. Which now I don't buy any product. I've read yours many times without looking at the back. So I look at it, and the first or second ingredient was canola oil and everything.
There you go.
And I'm like, And it's like a switch went off in my head immediately. I'm like, holy shit, are we being lied to? And then I went down this rabbit hole that I'm still on. And it's like, yeah, man.
Of course,
all the shit that they're
backwards.
all the shit they're putting in food and like pumping in. And then I looked at the history and how like, you know, they were just pushing like, you know, cheap, high volume foods and all these things.
High processed seed oils.
Yeah. And then I take a look at your product. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is it. So I definitely think you're on trend, first of all, because I think people are starting to wake up to this. So I think your product is going to be, it's already pretty huge, but I think it's going to be massive.
There's a big market for it.
Yeah. I think you're, and you're kind of like spearheading this. And I definitely think the other companies, like it's going to be hard, even if Hershey's, I don't want to name.
They might do something similar. They might try, but it's not authentic.
They're gonna have exactly. They're gonna have to buy you because if Hershey's came out and put a Hershey's name on something and said this is healthy, I wouldn't believe it. Even if it worked, even if it had the same ingredients, I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't believe it.
But that's the brand they built, right?
Yeah.
Again, that comes back to their authenticity.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even come in. Honestly, they should keep doing what they're doing. Because,
I mean, there's always going to be a market for it. Unfortunately, there's always going to be a market for that.
Because also a price point. It's it's inexpensive.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're
we're in the fair price point.
Yeah.
We're in the availability for mass. Like $249 is the bar cost, is the price. I mean, and it's good for people that can afford it all levels. Hopefully, for a little cleaner than having a 99-cent candy bar.
Yeah. How are you getting into stores now? Are they coming to you?
Yeah. So we get it's a mix. Like our sales team does a good job, obviously, getting into stores, but some social media, they come to us, they reach out to us, they see our story, they see our numbers on the data that's public data from the databases, and then they ask to engage the product. So we don't rush into more stores, really. We're good with the amount we have now and just growing within them. But we have the chance to go into about 60,000 total doors, and we're at about 8,000. So there's a long way to go.
Chance, you say because that's how many doors there are?
That's how many doors there are for our category. Refrigerated bar set in Canada, US, and North America.
Refrigerated bar set is different from like the on-the-shelf chocolate bars?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's different in terms of just where it is in the store and the supply chain, so how they get it into the stores.
Okay. Wow.
Different buyer, actually, usually.
For sure. Yeah. I became that buyer at some point.
Because you want to eat something cleaner.
Yeah. That's awesome. I usually close on something for my students as well. Like I said, I have 1,000 students per year that come through my classes, and I've been trying to get them on social media. And and now the reason I'm doing this is teaching accounting. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
But it's I want to have that connection with the students that's outside of hey, this is how you write a financial statement. I want to give them things that like this, for example, will inspire students. And when I have these conversations and when I do things now, I've been trying to be more active on social media for them, to give them more than just the material. So your story is obviously a very moving. It's it's hard not to root for you. I bet all my students already know who you are. You're like a Montreal celebrity at this point. But what would you say as a closing remark to 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds who are just now entering the world, trying to figure out am I going into business? Do I want to be an accountant? Who are, you remember when you were 20, did you know where you were going?
No, I think the simplest thing I could tell you is block out all the noise. There's so much noise, even from people that love you. They care, they do have your best interest, but you need to make your own decisions. And fearful of what will come is useless. It doesn't mean anything. We're all irrelevant at the end of the day. So if you're not trying to do things that could be fun or be something that you'll enjoy, what's the point? If I were to go back into 1890, the most prolific, most famous figure, I don't even know who it would be. I can't even tell you. Or that's not that far long ago. Or even 1910. What that says to me is that we all eventually die, and we all eventually become relatively irrelevant. So what you can do? You better enjoy your time on Earth, and the noise is going to push you in the wrong direction. It's going to push you in a direction that other people want to see you in. So then you got to figure out how to push yourself in your direction and make your adventure of life finding what that is. And don't put so much pressure. Find it, try, open a door. If it doesn't work out, shut the door, go to another one.
Yeah.
There's no society rules. I think we're taught that there is, but there's not. And by the way, every time you fail, you'll learn. Every time something goes wrong, you have a chance to learn. So I would say block that noise out and try to be yourself. And yourself will guide you over time to where you have to be or where you should be. And again, make your time as much relevant in quotations as possible, because at the end you're not going to be relevant. And it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Even me, I'm irrelevant, so I might as well have fun while I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, it is the truth. Maybe not Elon Musk, but like most people, no matter who they are, will eventually be forgotten, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have your family and stuff like that, but
sure.
I'm talking about from a standpoint of like your career choices and stuff like that.
No one's
like,
gonna give a shit that you're an accountant.
Exactly. No one's gonna give a flying fuck. So like, if that's what you really want to do, go fucking kill it. Give it your 150%, and you'll have so much fun.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a plumber, go be a plumber. If you want to start like I said, an aviation company to challenge Air Canada, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Yes, it's scary. Might be hard. But hard work shouldn't scare you. Hard work is something that is a privilege. Discomfort is a privilege. People forget that. If you're in comfort, you're literally just letting life pass you.
Yeah.
Every minute. You're just breathing. That's not living. Living is going to do. Joie de vivre, joy of life. Like, and I always say I don't work every day. I live.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love that. Appreciate that.
Rock on.
Yeah.